Hey, how you doing?
How are you? Good to see you.
Good seeing you too. Yeah, are you glossy-eyed from the game last night, or
Hey,
yeah.
Khaled, I tell you, Tom Brady's my age. I have this renewed motivation to start challenging 25-year-olds to all sorts of sports activities now. Right.
Awesome. So I got a bunch of questions for you. Thanks for being on with me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. We're going to talk about both Brampton and Mississauga, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Hospital in Brampton. Obviously, you know that there's a healthcare crisis in Brampton. Will the hospital be in the next March budget?
That's an important question, Khaled. We all know here that Mississauga and Brampton are two of the fastest growing cities in our entire country. And we recognize that there's been a lag in terms of infrastructure, healthcare funding. So it's something that the local MPPs are definitely speaking about. I know that the Premier committed to phase two of Peel Memorial. And so
Yeah.
it's a priority. Fully recognize that this government is understanding the important needs of Peel. So I expect some news to follow in the coming months and days.
Okay. So it will be there in March?
Well, you know what? You mentioned Minister Bethenfalvy, and by the way, you did an amazing job pronouncing his name. Most people struggle on that, and if you want a tip on that when he's on, just forget the L exists. Peter Bethenfalvy. You say it quick enough, and it's
Okay.
perfect pronunciation.
Very much so.
Yeah, so it's a question for the minister. You know, the budget is being tabled or sort of written as we speak, and so I encourage the people of Peel, if it's important to you, to get it into the budget submissions, and I'll sort of talk about those channels on how to do that a little later on.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The other big thing that's affecting Peel is sick pay, right? There seems to be a lot of ping pong action going with the feds in the province. Obviously it is a feds responsibility, but to get the money in faster for guys that just that need the rent money, right? So, is there anything that the province can do for sick pay right now?
Yeah, and I want to remind your viewers, Khaled, that there is a sick pay program. The provinces were able to negotiate with the federal government a $19 billion package, which allows for 10 paid sick leaves days. And so we know that that program already existing, a little redundant to exist another program. And so the money has gone to other important priorities like reliefs for small businesses, the Learners Grant Program. That's $200 per kid per parent under the age of 12. And that program's been introduced twice. We've reduced fixed costs for the small businesses of Mississauga and Peel as well. So, if your viewers need help in finding sort of connecting the dots on how to access that paid leave program, just contact your local MPP because it's already out there.
Okay. I noticed that with the sick pay, a lot of people that need the money really fast, they find the federal initiative very cumbersome, and it's hard to get access to the money. And I think that's why Bonnie and Patrick have been, really, waving the flag for sick pay. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, and I think Mayor Brown and Mayor Crombie are defending their constituents' rights. I think access to service should be easy, as few windows as possible. I come from the small business world. I can't tell you how crazy I used to go looking at government forms and processes. Sometimes it's a nightmare. And so when we created our programs, we tried to make it as simple and as clear as possible. And I know that the feds, we've heard that there's some challenges. And so Minister McNaughton is working closely with that level of government to improve the program. But the more noise that the people of Peel make, the better results we're going to see.
Okay. Let's talk about something that's hopefully not dead. It's Brampton University, right? Everybody was super hyped for the Brampton University to open up, and then all of a sudden the funding got taken away. Is there any way of getting the Brampton University, a full university, back in Brampton?
Yeah, and I know that's important to a lot of people in Brampton and in Peel for that matter. And I heard that in the budget consultation actually just on Friday when we met with the city of Brampton. And so, as the Minister of Finance and the Premier said, everything's on the table. I'd encourage if this is still the important issue for the constituents of Peel, get it into submissions at ontario.ca, submissions, it's plural, at ontario.ca. And let us know that. I mean, this is a matter of importance to constituents. That's the whole point of budgets, is to listen to every corner of this province and then balance those needs. And so I'm looking forward to hearing that from the fine people of Mississauga.
Cool. In regards to the budget's going to be tabled in March, correct? Is that, yeah?
Before the end.
End of March, okay. What's going to be in it for Mississauga and Brampton? I know that's the billion-dollar question, or it can be, but yeah.
Probably going to be more than $1 billion
Yeah,
question
yeah.
based on the needs. But, you know, I want to remind, since I was on your show before, that some of those ideas, and I think you asked me a similar question back then, a lot of the good stuff in our November budget actually came directly from the people of Peel. And just thinking to some examples, um, uh, just one, I know the Brampton Chamber of Commerce, when we met with the city of Brampton and a lot of small businesses last summer, told us they want to keep the takeout of alcohol, I know it's a small thing, from bars and restaurants permanent because it helped with the bottom line during difficult times. And so working with the AGCO, we were able to make that change. That is now a permanent measure moving forward. Another example we heard from parents was they wanted that learner's grant credit program again, the $200 per kid under the age of 12. And so Minister Lecce introduced that again. We definitely heard that auto insurance rates are high. And so we're working and allowed for digital insurers like Onlia to enter the space. And that's really important because now we can use things like UBI, user-based insurance, which is an app that tracks good driving behavior so that drivers will be able to, good drivers of Brampton and Mississauga will be able to directly save money on their auto insurance rates, all sorts of supports for new Canadians, small businesses, tax reductions that are permanent as well. These are the types of things we heard from the city of Mississauga, the residents there. So we expect to hear similar things and introduce whatever the people want. It's the people's budget, and we're going to keep it that way.
Cool. So you're pretty much saying wave the flag, be as loud as possible, call your MPPs, and just tell them what you want, and the chances of that being on the budget is pretty good.
That's how we get our ideas, and that's the absolute truth, Khaled. And being loud means you can be nice at the same time. So
Of course. Okay. I know you're doing the budget consultation in Brampton. Have you talked to Patrick Brown, the mayor of Brampton?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations with his office. I know he's been there. You know, Patrick's a friend that I know from the past, and certainly he's been quite vocal for the needs of Brampton, and he's been very vocal for the needs of Brampton, and Mayor Crombie has been for Mississauga as well. But they've been hugely important partners throughout this pandemic, and I want to give them all the credit in the world. They're the ones who fought for some of the property tax reductions alongside Minister Prab Sarkaria, you know, MPP Amrajal Sandhu, all the great people of Peel, Nina Tangri. You've got some great MPPs out there, and this pandemic, I think your viewers would have been disgusted if we had been playing partisan games at a time of great need. And to the credit of all levels of government, it's really been rowing in the same sort of direction. And I think I'm really proud of that because we've seen jurisdictions very close to us where it's gotten political, and you've seen the results of that. So I'm proud of everyone here.
What has Patrick Brown said in regards to what he wants? What does he need in the budget? I mean,
sorry, I missed that, Khaled.
Oh no, when you talked to Patrick Brown, the mayor of Brampton, what did he say he needs in the budget? Like, what did he say? I mean, obviously the hot, but
yeah, sure. He said, well, first of all, small businesses were asking for relief with some of the property taxes. And at the same time, he said, look, municipal revenues are down as well. The city of Brampton is struggling financially, so don't affect our bottom line. And so in our last budget, we were able to balance that. For example, I'll take the property tax reduction. So small businesses throughout this province are going to see up to a 30% reduction on their property tax bill because we've reduced the provincial portion of that property tax. That measure from the last budget, and we heard from the people of Peel the same thing, small businesses said, that's great, but we need that to be a longer runway because we know as we move through this pandemic, it's not going to be over in just a few short months. So that property tax reduction is now permanent, and it's not going to affect municipal revenues at all. And there's a series of other changes that we've made to the sort of the fixed cost, as well as other taxes for businesses like payroll taxes, which is just a tax on job, to help the smallest of small businesses to be able to not pay that tax moving forward. And the reality is, Khaled, these are tens of thousands of dollars in savings for these small businesses. We know in Peel and my riding similar that these new Canadians, full of many new Canadians who come to these areas, these great parts of our province, well, they don't go to, you know, the big banks and ask for a 9-to-5 job. They don't apply to that type of employment. They start small businesses. And so I've heard from Mayor Brown that this is important while making sure that we continue to not hurt the sort of the revenues of the municipal offices. And that's why we've been consulting with Mayor Brown and others at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario to hear just that.
Perfect. And talking to Bonnie Crombie, what is her, you know, what is she asking?
Many of the similar asks Mayor Crombie's asking for. Of course, transit has factored in, and that's what Mayor Brown and Mayor Crombie are talking about as well. I mean, I was just looking down the list. You know, I think I told you last time, Khaled, my in-laws are from Mississauga. My wife is born and raised actually in Mississauga. She went to St. Joseph's. Shout out in Streetsville there. But
Okay, nice.
we heard a lot of the same thing. I googled Mississauga Brampton sort of population. I think it's actually a little bit out of date, but both are in the top 10. I mean, like Mississauga's past Winnipeg. It's almost the size of Edmonton at this point. These are huge cities. Not just in our province, but in our country. So, the airport's a concern. How do you travel from Pearson? There's very limited options. And so it's connecting the grid. And Mississauga and Brampton, the two mayors have said, we need to connect the grid, not just between the two cities, but to the rest of the Toronto, to out east. Like, people don't live in these bubbles of here's my border. We all sort of transcend that. And so we need to have the spider web of a transit system that other cities our size do. And so that's an important piece of our economic recovery. And we're laying the groundwork for that. And historic funding, billions have gone into expanding transit. So a big concern for Mayor Crombie and Mayor Brown. And you're going to see continue that we're going to expand the grid when it comes to transit and Peel.
Perfect. Last thing. So are you saying that we're going to see shovels in grounds in Brampton for a hospital in 2021?
It's one of those priorities, Khaled, that I'm hoping to see as well. And trust me, if there's anybody as loud as the people of Peel are being, it's the local MPPs within our government who are fighting for this. And, Minister Sarkaria, MPP Sandhu, they've all been saying the same thing. So stay tuned to the budget. One thing I've learned about the boss is the Premier doesn't break promises. And so he's somebody who's also said this is hugely important for him. And while I can't speak to the exact wording that he'll use, I expect that he'll continue to treat the hospital in Brampton as a big priority.
Great. Did you want to add anything else?
Yeah.
Those are all my questions.
The same words I added last time, man. I just want to say, well, two things, actually. I want to thank the people of Peel for doing your part. I know it's been incredibly hard. I mean, small businesses have been impacted, but we see light at the end of the tunnel. And so just stay the course. We're almost there. Stay tuned to the announcement at 1 p.m. And the final thing I'll add is last time you asked me what my favorite restaurants in Peel, I was kicking myself for weeks. I was trying to get back on the show because I forgot Goodfellas Wood Oven Pizza in Streets.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. So,
we got 2 locations now in Mississauga.
Yeah, I hear. So I'm looking forward to trying the other one. But
well, sorry. I got to bring up the 1 p.m. Are we going to open in the week of the 24th?
Oh, it's part of a lot of the businesses and a lot of the people at Peel said we need predictability, we need certainty. And so the update will be sort of tracking that reopening process as well as, so I expect that there might be some news that will make the people have some hope and give them some certainty listening to the medical experts. But yeah, I'd say stay tuned to 1 p.m. if you can. Okay.
And Stan, I think we have a common friend, Tan, by the way.
Oh yeah. Hey Ted,
yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, so as soon as you were on, he's like, I know him. So anyways. Awesome. Dan, thank you so much for being on. So
thanks, Khaled. We'll see you soon. Man. Take care.